Everyone, before we start this film, apologies for the sound quality at the start of the film. My DSLR has started to lose focus and it's clicking and carrying on, so apologies for the first 2 minutes of the film when it's making these noises. It's going to go away to Canon and they'll sort it out, one hopes, but in the meantime, please enjoy the rest of the film and it's going to get quite interesting. Hi there. When you first start importing bikes in from anywhere or buying a batch of bikes, you tend to grade them on the basis of which ones can you get the fastest win out of, and as they're less and as they require more and more effort, they tend to get pushed towards the back of the queue, down from the very quick wins to the ones with the most work on, and this is one such. Having said that, it's not an exact science, and this little one here was one that went to the back of the queue because I thought it was going to be quite difficult and would offer significant problems getting it right, and I was so wrong. It's made a wonderful little bike and one of the best I've ever had. So, you know, you can't be right all the time. This is one that looks on the face of it pretty sad. There are elements in it that show me someone's had a go at doing this one before and they've run out of either pit commitment or money or time. And that's fair enough, you know, not everyone's got the time to put into this. So, it's got so far and it's been stuck. A lot of bits missing from it. It's got no front fender or mudguard. The fuel tank was painted with a spray can in a dreadful orange. There are no side covers. Exhaust is short, and that's a big problem for me because you can't get the exhausts new anymore and they're very hard to locate on a second-hand basis. But I've got some coming. So this will be alright on the exhaust front in time. So, what we need to do is, let's have a walk round it, we'll look at its good and bad points, and then I'm going to get it in the shop and I'm going to see if I can get this little thing running. Okay, so here it is, and you can see at first glance, it's not particularly appealing. It's got no front fender on, the headlight is missing. Actually it's not, I do have the headlight, but it was only hung in loosely and it was going to fall out and get broken, so I've taken it out and stashed it. There's no front mudguard or fender on it, but I have one of those, which I shall pop on. The wheels, they don't look too bad. The tyres are shot to bits, as you can see, so they need replacing. The fork legs, paradoxically, are rather nice. I think someone's had a go with the spray can. I think that's silver paint, but they're not corroded or showing any signs of oxidation. So, fork ears, these should be chrome and they're being painted black. We'll need to do something with that. The mileage actually is pretty low. It's 11,000 miles, so that's a really low mileage little bike. You can see there's quite a lot of oxidation on the aluminium of the engine, but really that will clean off without a great deal of problem. There are no side covers with the bike, so I'll need to secure some side covers, but they can be had quite cheaply. The shocks, they've had it, and the back wheel, that's not looking great at all, but let's clean it up and see what we can do with it. The rear fender again isn't great, so we've quite a lot to do here. The seat doesn't look bad till we get to the back, and then there's a piece out of it there. So I'll get a picture of my friends at Schoolhouse Covers and Old School Covers, I beg your pardon, and they'll pop one up to me. The bad news is this exhaust, as you can see, and that's really pretty badly shot. Pretty much everywhere you look it's corroded underneath, and most importantly the joint there is blown. You know, somebody's patched it previously, it doesn't look great. So the exhaust is the big problem here, but being the kind of guy I am, I try and find these things when I can, and I've found some in America and they're going to be on my next shipment, which is here in a couple of weeks. So by the time we get this running and in a better state, the exhaust should be here. So one way or another, I think we're in with a chance of getting this one back. We've got our little CL350 up on the stand just now, and when you start doing these things, you can tell if someone's been in there before, and on this bike it's clear someone's had a go at it and they've got so far, and for whatever reason they've stopped doing it. Let's have a look around the bike and I'll show you some of the things that we've come across. Okay, as you can see there's no headlight on this bike, but fortunately I have one. So this is the one that came with the bike, but it was only put in loosely. There's no front fender on, as we know, but guess what? I happened to have one. And we'll pop that in there properly. going to pop that in there, and that's going to look great when it's on the bike. There's a tiny wee dent in it, just where my finger is there. But I managed to tap that out with my panel beaters hammers. So, let's have a look around and see what else we can find. At the top here, the cables are new. The clutch cable, the brake cable, and the throttle cables are all new. Clearly, he's been doing work all over the bike. This was seized because it's been sitting so long. It must have sat for a generation. The surprising thing is, look at the top clamp there. Beautiful. So that's been painted or powder coated. I'm not sure which yet. But the real surprises lie in the frame. Look how clean that frame is. All in the front as well. It's as clean as a whistle. Look up here. You know, it's absolutely spanking. The swing arm's been painted. Oh, that's great. On the downside, there's no oil in the engine, which makes me kind of think why he's not got that far with it. The points are new, which is really, really unusual, but they're brand new points. This wiring needs sorting, but that's neither here nor there. There is no engine mounting plate at this side. There should be a plate that looks kind of like, oops, like that at each side. So they're not on there, so I managed to source a couple of those, and they're coming from America. I popped the plugs out just to squirt some oil in there, just to get the cylinders, just to make sure the cylinders are lubricated when I get to the point of trying to start it. The gear change mechanism looks really, really quite sad, and I could try and clean it up, but guess what? I happen to have one. So I tend to buy these things when they come up. I did mention the exhausts. They're short of bits, so that's a bit of a problem, but we'll sort it. There is no seat lock on it, but guess what? I happen to have one. So I'll pop that in. One way or another, it's throwing up quite a few surprises. Not too bad. So I think when all this oxidation's cleaned off the cylinders, that's really going to look quite nice. You can see the footrest bracket here is not fastened up, but boy, who's painted that as well. I think that's been painted both sides, as have these brackets that hold the passenger foot pegs. So one way or another, it's quite promising, and I'm not quite sure why he's stopped, and we'll probably never find out. But it just makes it all a bit more interesting, doesn't it? So let's bash on. I'll get a battery on it. I cannot find the key for it, so I may have to hotwire it to get some power up. And let's see if we can get some lights up and maybe get it spinning over. I'll wire this in properly, which is neither here nor there. And then let's just see if we can get some lights up and maybe get it spinning over. I think I mentioned previously how clean the fork legs are and unmarked. Usually I would have to polish those quite aggressively to get a finish on them, but I'll just show you the other leg. And I spent about 30 seconds, perhaps a minute, with ordinary metal polish on, and look at that. They're absolutely lovely. Really, really nice original fork legs. So this bike clearly has had love and care at some point, and it's just been perhaps sitting for a generation. All more interesting. Hi guys, since we spoke yesterday, I've done one or two bits to this little bike, and they've not quite changed the direction of what I'm going to do, but I'll explain why I'm going to do what I'm going to do next. So let me just show you the things I've done and our next state of play. Right, yesterday, this was really, the clutch cover was really quite badly oxidised. So what I've used to clean it up and get it in a much nicer state, there's still some work to do, is this thing. And it's a kind of double-sided, it's a double Scotch-Brite disc. And if you use it pressing, keeping it stiff and pressing on those edges, it's quite, it really does take a lot of the corrosion off there, and that's really going to polish up nicely. Also, the cylinder fins looked like that, and now after just a couple of minutes with the Scotch-Brite disc, they look like that. And that was truly just a couple of minutes. I've come up here and done some round the top of the cylinder head as well. I've got a bit more to do in there. I've done a little bit around the tacho drive cover and there. But you know, it really is coming up. It's starting to look a lot better. This carburetor doesn't really like to, it does move, but it's much stiffer than its friend. So I'm going to pop the carbs off. It's something I'd probably need to do anyway. So pop the carbs off, air cleaners off, carbs off. You can see someone's been in here before. Let me just a bit more light in there. These are pretty horrible. But someone's been in there before. They're the wrong way around. The fastening screw should always be at the bottom. Likewise there. So that just tells you someone's been in there before and they've had the carbs off. I want to see what they've done. The other one's the same. So this rear fender isn't going to come back. That's, you know, quite hard. Fender or mudguard, call it what you will, potato, potato. It's not going to be, it needs to be re-chromed or replaced. Fortunately, I've got one coming on my delivery from America that will be here next week, customs permitting, or the week after next probably. So I'm going to take the rear fender off, and it all just makes it easier to work in here, and then I can get in there to clean all this oxidization off the engine and just make that a lot prettier. Also, what I've seen, that the swing arm pivot bolt, that's the wrong way around. That should be at the far side, so I'll pop that out and put it in the right way around. And then we're probably going to take these wheels off. That wheel is almost undoubtedly not going to come back. So that's the state of play for the next couple of hours today. And I'll just leave this camera running in real time, and you can see how long it takes me to get the carbs off and the rear fender out, and maybe the wheel as well. So let's have a look at that now. Okay, it's now 10 minutes to 3, Sunday afternoon. Let's see how long it takes to get these bits out. I'm British, so you've got to have a drink of your tea first. That energises you. Let's go. I've got the carbs off this bike now, and they look actually very clean, but I am going to take them to bits because I want it just be bad practice not to have a look in there and see if there's something stuck afloat sticking, or if there's any kind of oxidation on the jets or stuff that might be blocking a jet up. And it just would mean having to take the carbs off again afterwards, which is a bit of a pain in the backside. Once you've got the carbs on, the air cleaners on, the side covers on, the exhaust on these, because you've got to get the exhaust off to get the carb off on the left hand side. So why would I not have a look at these just now? So one thing I showed you, you may have seen on the film, it took me quite a long time to get the rear light off, and that's because all the wiring was kind of bodged together on the back there with this stuff, and it just shows how long it is since this bike's been in bits. This is old-fashioned cloth insulating tape or electrical tape, and I've not seen any of this for 40 years. Everyone's been using plastic insulating tape since, so it just shows how long this bike's been laid up. To get these out, the little drains off the float bowls, they were absolutely jammed in solid. They didn't want to come out, so rather than sort of stick a screwdriver in there and start bodging these up, you just, afternoon, you just nip them gently in the vise and they came out. So I'm going to take these carb to bits in front of you just now, and let's see what we can see. I'm going to pop them in my cleaner afterwards. We'll just do one of them at a time. So just randomly we'll take this one to bits first. And yeah, I should wear gloves when I'm doing it, but when I'm doing carburetors, I tend not to wear gloves just because it can get quite fiddly, and it's just easy to do them without gloves. Fortunately, the Lord made soap. Oh, that's tight. Oh, I've got it. I'll just pop all these wee things in there so they don't get lost. In here there's a diaphragm, and I expect to find it's alright, but let's have a look at it. A wee tap, it doesn't want to come off. Okay, it's going to make an arse of me. Wee spring in there, and that locates. There's a wee tang on the diaphragm that locates into that part of the carburetor body. Just ease that out gently. And it sits in that recess there. And hold this up to the light. This is, I can tell that's alright, but you tend to hold it up to the light and make sure you can see no holes in it. There's some kind of gunk on that, I don't know what that is. That kind of white. It's not a residue, it's just a mark on the diaphragm. But these are incredibly clean. I think they've been cleaned with something. Perhaps one of you would know what that is. But those are absolutely immaculately clean inside, which tells me someone's been in here before. Not a bad thing. Well, let's see what's what when we get the float bowl off. In here, there's a thing called a leaf spring, and that presses the little jets. There's the leaf spring there. This is absolutely spotless. New. Those are absolutely new jets. The fuel level's definitely wrong. Just by looking at it, but look at how clean and new that is. These carbs have been they've been rebuilt. New screws there. Looks like new floats as well. So I'll get a little. Let's see if we can just get that out. Just out of interest, before I take that to bits, I'll check the fuel level, and I can just tell that's miles out. This should be 25. And the needle valves, they're just not good enough. There's a spring in the needle valve, I'll show you in a minute. And the spring should be strong enough to support the float just when it's resting on it horizontally like that. That's 22 and a half. 22 and a half, so I can tell that's wrong already. So this should be 25 or 26. I will check my book, because I've assumed before and been wrong, and quite recently as well. Just ease that out. Yeah. And there's a wee. I would put these in my cleaner, but they're so clean, I'm not going to. But I'm going to have a look at this. I'm going to show you this in a minute. Is that going to come out? Yes, it is. Right. This is a needle valve. Sits in the carburetor, and it acts like the cistern in your toilet. But there's a wee spring there. This part here. There's a little spring there, where the tip of my screwdriver is, and there should have enough tension on that, and there is almost no tension on that at all. So I'm gonna change that needle valve, because you're never going to be able to set a fuel level up properly with that being as weak as it is. Okay, let's just ease these out if they'll come. Just very, very, very gently. They're probably stuck a bit after having been in there for goodness knows how long. They're going to come. They're all right. Yeah. They just sit. The leaf springs, that little leaf spring there, has a cutout for each of these jets, and they only go in. They're only going one way. If you get it the wrong way around, you'll get one of them in, but the big one won't go in the. I'll just show you. You can see those holes, those cutouts there are different sizes. One for the big one, one for the little one. Well, you can see that, yeah, better there. So that's all good. Let's press the emulsion tubes out. I was going to almost fall out. Yeah, that, brand new, that's absolutely brand new, as you can see. That's never been run. As you can see, there's a little plug that sits in there. Don't ever forget to put that back in, because your engine might start up, but it'll rev off like the clappers. Just press that to get the other emulsion tube, the secondary emulsion tube out. Once again, that is absolutely spotless. And in the bottom of this one, come on, let's even get that plug out. Yeah, it's going to come. Right, as the pilot jet sits in the bottom of there. Don't forget to put that in, and it should be just nipped up, just so. That should just fall out now. There we are. And you can see, again, that's brand new. All I'm going to do with this carburetor is change the needle valves. The rest of it is absolutely bang on. Let's make sure this is built properly. I'll show you what properly means in a minute. This is the idle mixture screw. Not sure that's the right one, but I need to check that. I'm not exactly sure that's the correct one. There should be a little flat washer that sits on there, and then a rubber washer, so that when that goes in, the flat washer presses the rubber washer into the body of the carburetor and makes a seal there and stops it bleeding air. So that wouldn't have adjusted properly anyway. So I'll have a look at, I've got some kits, so I'll have a look at those, and we'll take it from there. 1 minute. Right guys, I've got another kit that I've just taken to bits and had a look at, and this is what I was talking about, where the slow running adjustment screw has to have the spring with a little washer there and a little seal in front of it there to seal the pilot jet in the aperture, the pilot jet screw. This is a different screw. This is what came out of the carburetor. It's probably the correct one after all. It's slightly different and it's threaded differently, and that other variant won't fit in this carb because it's threaded deeper in. So, not for the first time, I was wrong. So I'll rebuild this carb with all these new jets and things that are in, and but I am going to change the needle valve, because that's clearly, as I say, that little spring there is just not up to it on the older. This is a new one I've got out of a packet here, as you can see, from our friend Mr. Silvers. So give that a squirt, just as that'll slide in better. I'll just pop it in there. That's gone in straight away nicely, lovely. So put this wee fella in here. That just locates it, just stops it getting away. And then we'll put the float on, and we'll set the fuel level up properly. Right, as I showed you yesterday, you put your carburetor at about 45 degrees and you see that bouncing nicely. It's really bouncing nicely now on that wee loaded, spring-loaded part of the needle valve. Let's bring this down here. And that is showing, well, it should be 26 mil, and as you can see already, we're nearly there. So all I need to do is just adjust this a tiny wee bit to lower it, and I adjust it by, I just pop my screwdrivers in here, as you can see there, into that little tang there, and I'm just going to bend that up very slightly because it's so close to being there. I'll just bend it up very gently. Once again, tip on its side, so you've got it resting on the loaded part of the needle valve, but not actually depressing it. Oops. And that is on exactly 26 mil. So that's where that should be. That should feel nicely now. So just pop these bits back in. I'll give it a wee squirt. That's the main emulsion tube, clean as a whistle. So I'll pop that back in. And just press it down very gently so it's fully home. And you can see that coming. Well, you'd see it popping through the bottom of the carb body if I hadn't fallen back out again because the carb's so. Now you can see it in there. And you can just see it sticking through there. I'll put the secondary emulsion tube in. Well, I'm not going to tell you what. Why don't I use the correct ones that came out of it? I'm putting the new ones in. I'm going to put the ones that came out of the carburetor. These are absolutely as new anyway. Now the pilot jet that goes in the bottom of that aperture there. Make sure it's clear, which it is of course. As I said, I don't think this carb's ever been run. Certainly not since it was rebuilt. And I was starting to question if in fact it's the bike's had new carburetors on it. Now what I'm saying is, I'm starting to think maybe these are absolutely, they're just new carbs that the guys put on, and they've just never run. That's why they're looking a bit kind of careworn. That goes like that, and the big jet goes in there, with of course the rubber, the O-ring to the bottom, likewise there, O-ring to the bottom, pop that in there. That should just sit down there nicely, lovely. They're sitting just as they should be. And then when I put the float ball on, it'll depress that leaf spring and press those jets into the body of the carb. Just hold them nice there, nice and firmly. So that's lovely and clean. Look how clean that is. And because I'm a Philistine, an old-fashioned, I'll just put a little smear of grease on these just to... Usually it's to locate them, just because it makes me feel better. If that's all okay, that's good. That's lovely. Just put in a thread or two just to locate it. There's one on that side, and make sure you've got it held nicely, and just pull them down reasonably firmly, but that's nice and even now either side, and the other two, and that's jolly super. I was talking to you about hot wiring the bike to get it running, but I got the number off the carburetor barrel, sorry, off the ignition barrel, and I found a guy who's got some, and I ordered a key, and that's going to be tomorrow morning, so I'm going to leave that till tomorrow, and then we can we'll get it running then. Let's put this back in. I don't know what this kind of whiteness is on that, but there we are, never mind. I just locate that little tang there into that part of the car body. Pump the spring in. Oops. I'm going to give that a wee polish up afterwards. I'm just going to pop these screws in just to hold it. I've got some nice screws somewhere because I'm not going to run these ones again. They're quite tired looking. Okay, that's really nice now. And I'm going to screw that back off, just so that when we've got a and make sure that it's actually fully closing the butterfly, which it is. Likewise, this side is the choke. That little plate in there is sprung, as you can see. And quite often, you know, the little springs in there can break. But that's all nice. This, it so looks like a new carb. But right, I'll do the other one now, and then right, I'm going to do the other carb now. You've seen me do that one. I'll do the other one exactly the same manner. Pop him back on the bike. I'll get the new key tomorrow, and then we're going to get some sparklers on it and see if we can get this thing spinning over. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow or the day after. I'll see you very soon anyway. Bye. I did remember to put this in, by the way, the mixture screw. Cheers, guys.